What's up, guys? So we're back with the Lexus here. The past month I've spent hours and hours rewiring this entire vehicle basically. I'm just going to be going over what I've done to move the relay boxes to the trunk, fuse boxes, and also inside the car, how I moved all the ECU connectors over to the glove box with the ECU. That's going to be primarily this video. Also, I'll be going over the wastegate. So I ran coolant. It's water-cooled wastegate, so I have coolant lines going to the wastegate now. I'm going to be going over that, showing how I did it, the best way to do it. Alright, so before I put my intake manifold back on, I had a few sensors I had hooked up, and also I had to run a coolant line for my Tial MVR wastegate. So you can see here, basically welded a 4AN bong on there. I got the line made. Got my fuel lines are all done, my return line. Originally I was going to go with I think it was like a 120 degree, you know, just straight bend off of here, but it wasn't going to clear right. I wasn't happy with it. So I did a radium union bolt here to swivel also, but this thing holds pressure. This was super expensive fitting, but it all clears good now. Got a clamp on there. It's going up to my fuel pressure regulator. So I got to hook up the boost gauge, but just going in the back of the intake manifold. So that line is done for the wastegate. I pulled off my coolant pipe here, and I'm going to be running another line down to the wastegate there. But on my line, so for my coolant pipe, so basically I'm going to ignore all the shit on my desk, but I'm going to show you. So I'm going to be cutting this off. This is no longer being used. I'm going to drill a hole in here and then weld another 4AN bung on there. And this will go down to the wastegate also. So that's my next step right now. Yeah, I got a bunch of shit all over the place right now. Alright, so on the coolant pipe, instead of like completely removing this, I just cut it off. You know, usually it goes up here. I believe it feeds the throttle body. But I don't need that anymore because I'm not running a stock throttle body. Nothing's really stock anymore. So I just cut it, crimped it, but I'm going to TIG it. And then that should be completely sealed. And then over here, back on the back side, I'm going to be welding the AN bung on there. But I'm going to TIG this up. And alright, so I got that welded up. You can see it's nice and capped off. So it should be a solid weld there. Shouldn't leak ever. But when this is installed on the vehicle, you shouldn't be able to see that at all anyways. So I'm not worried about cosmetics in this part. But just put a little bead on there. Now I'm going to move over to this, get this welded, the AN bung. It should be good to install. Alright, so moving over to the bung. For some reason I couldn't find a smaller AN bung that was stainless steel, but I mean this will work. So I have it drilled out. I'm just going to weld, you know, put a beater on this whole thing so it's sealed completely. That'll connect to my wastegate and provide some good flow to it. Alright, so I've got it all welded up. Turned out okay. Obviously I wasn't worried about cosmetics, so I burned it in pretty good. I don't want it to leak. So that's blocked off in the back. And that will connect to my wastegate. So I'm going to install this, and then we're going to build the hose and hook it up. Should be good for all the coolant. And then I can add it coolant at that point should be, after I put my heater hose on in the back, you know, go around to this pipe, to the heater core. That'll be it for the cooling system. So I'll be able to top off the coolant. I'm trying to get all all my sensors and everything hooked up, all the fluid in there before I start it. I just like to have everything done, just for ease of mind while it's running. Obviously, when I do start it, I won't be able to really run it too much until I get the rest of the car back together. All right, so got it all mounted. Trying to get, it's a little hard to record underneath here, but you can see the line is hooked up to the wastegate right there. The other line is going underneath. I still have to secure it, but it's pretty much, you know, it's not touching anything, so it worked out really good actually. Exhaust is still got to do the exhaust, but that'll be a little bit later on. I say later on, probably next few days. Let me see if I can zoom out. Sorry guys, bear with me here. Yeah, so what's left under here? So I just have to hook up a few of my sensors. But the fuel lines, everything are ran. Got the flex fuel sensor under there, and the fuel pressure sensor right there. And she's just going up. Like I said, I still got to do the clamps and stuff, but getting closer. Sorry, this is like really, try to zoom out real fast. All right, so I zoomed out. See in the wastegate, I already showed screw and pipe as a different angle. Gonna see a little better. I just got it going right down to the ground there. Stainless steel. All the exhaust piping to be stainless steel, so no rust or anything like that. All right, so we'll kind of see if we can see it from the top also. Let's see. So yeah, I can see her down there. Mishimoto connectors. I also got the heater, this heater hose on. It's the HPS, it's the silicone hoses. Actually, so I trimmed this because when you put this on, this thing sticks out like super far. I didn't like how it looked, so I actually trimmed the bottom piece a couple inches, which brought it over quite a bit actually, and it clears pretty good now. I was going to heat wrap this. I don't know if I'll need to because the exhaust will be heat wrapped, which I don't like heat wrapping stainless steel, but you know, it's fine. So I love how stainless steel looks. But yeah, getting much close. Cooling system is now done. I just gotta finish a few things on the intake manifold, and then I can put the intake manifold back on. And let's see, I got power steering fluid is in here already. So the only fluid left that I have to fill is coolant and then transmission fluid. Alright, so I just want to go over the intake manifold real quick. So this originally was a CX Racing manifold, but I had to modify it quite a bit, like I said in the previous video. But basically I had to trim this down. Let's see, I had to taper it. I had to shorten the overall length. I also trimmed this down, so this used to come up to like here. Trim that down so it would clear the AC lines. welded my brake booster port there. It's not welded, but it's tapped, drilled and tapped. And then I made a little manifold deal back here. So this will be boost gauge. I'll have map sensor, boost controller, and then fuel pressure regulator, and the blow-off valve. And then just a few extra ports there. And so this is a Mustang. I believe this was a 2000 Mustang Cobra idle air control valve. So basically this will be routed back into the intake. So originally there was a pipe in here that's just pressed in. I think this is like an I don't remember, I did it a while ago. It's like an M18 thread that fits like really perfect. And so I tapped it as much as I could. So it's basically got thread up until about there. And then sealed it. Tightened it down all the way, sealed it. This is a 10 AN fitting that'll go to the intake. Yeah, so basically I can control this with my software with the idle air control valve. Idle air control. Let's see, there's the inside. As you can see. And yeah, everything fits pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and bolt it back on. Oh, I also had to remove a little bit for the brake booster to clear. And it clears okay already, but I just wanted, you know, any extra vibration. So it really won't have too much because it does have solid engine mounts. Basically solid. It just has 2 bushings on each side that are polyurethane. But yeah. Also, I had to set a little bit of warpage on it when I got it, and so I was able to get it smooth, flat, a piece of glass, sandpaper, and you can see it was raised up a bit right here. But gasket will make up for that. And then I'm using stainless steel bolts, Nordlock washers on there so she doesn't come loose ever. But I'm going to bolt it on now. Alright, it's got the intake manifold on. Let's see, it's all bolted down. Let's see if I can get a light in there. And it's nice and tight. Got the Nordlocks on there so nothing should come loose ever. Nordlock washers are like super vibration resistant. Go underneath, got the idle air control valve down there, and fuel line bracket. Like I said before, I'm not going to finish all the powder coating until it's running and driving, in case I have to make any modifications. So I still got to hook up the boost gauge. There's, you know, all the boosts on my vacuum and boost sources down there, which I can get to pretty easily. Alright, so starting off in the trunk, battery is back here and everything's mounted. All my wires are ran. So basically this is my main charging wire off of the alternator, and also for the starter it's going to the front. This is supplying the fuel pumps, and also, well, it's going to relay first. This is supplying the the factory relay box now. So this guy, and then let's see. Basically everything's been moved, you know, back here now. This is essentially this is just controlling mainly the fuel pumps, and if I ever need to add any other circuits back here I can, because now I have power all up in here. It's basically for the fuel pumps I have a switch that is mounted in the front by the steering wheel, and this is the wire that is activating the relay. I also have a security feature here where I can cut power to fuel pump So basically it won't work unless this is activated. So you can kind of see that. So basically that's just a security feature so no one can steal the car. Let's see. That's pretty much. I just got to make a few more brackets for the back, but all of the wiring is done. So I have, you know, let's see. So these are fuel pumps, fuel pump power, fuel pump ground. I built this stand obviously, and it's drilled and tapped for my grounds. Still have to finish up a few, you know, zip tying some cables and stuff, but it's essentially everything's done. I also the washer fluid reservoir will be mounted in the back here. So these are the wires that originally were in the front. I had to extend these a bit, and I ran them in my harness. I was gonna say, I believe this one. So I have two different harnesses here. I have one that is coming from the passenger side and that looped over to the back, which I'll show that in a minute. And then this is from the driver's side, which is just coming straight back from the fuse panel underneath the driver's side dash. So that's basically it for back here. It looks, you know, put these back on. Sorry, my bumper's not tight, it's squeaking. That's basically what it looks like. This is also, I'm going to add a reverse camera. It's supposed to be going up in here, but for now it's just not there yet. I gotta put the carpet back in still. But before I put the carpet back in, let's go look in the inside. So before I mount the dash and put the dash back in the vehicle, I'm just gonna kind of show what I got going on here. So basically, after I removed the relay and fuse box from the front, in the front there is wires that are going from the relay box over there that goes to the fuse box, and normally it's just routed right behind the engine. Well, I took all that and I brought it inside of the car, and I had to extend a few wires. Some of them actually had to shorten them, but basically it looks kind of hard to see what's going on here. But this is kind of, you know, it's looping back from either side. Basically this is how it looks on the driver's side, and the harness is going towards the back. And the same thing on the passenger side, which you can't really tell right now because these cables are kind of in the way. But this is the harness that is running towards the back to the relay and fuse box now. Gauge pod up here, and then I got my boost line all secured. That's just going up to the front. We go to the intake manifold. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and put the dash in now and kind of go through everything. As of right now, it's live. I have power here. Everything's live. So, you know, when I turn the key on, I have power. And everything seems fine so far. So, we'll see. If you have an IS300 already, obviously you know why this is out. I had to repaint it. I just used the duplicolor vinyl and fabric paint. Turned out pretty good. I got as much as the old paint off as I could. There's a bunch of info on how to paint these dashes, so I'm not going to go into it, but just kind of show how it looks. I think it turned out pretty good. This fuel pump here. So I got the fuel pump is all wired up. I ran 8-gauge wire to it. We got big lug terminals in there. And I got grommets, you know, for here. So that's all done, functioning. And then everything's zip tied up here. This was my starter wire and alternator charging wire. It's running towards the back too. Everything's just going, you know, back there. Let's move over to the passenger side. All right, so the passenger side. So everything's live here. The wiring is done. This will be, you know, up in here. I'll probably make like a kick plate for this so no passengers can kick any wires. But we got all of that. This is the harness that is going to the back. And so there's also wires that are coming from the ABS pump in the front. They're all going to the back relay box now. See, I zip tied it. Basically got it, you know, to where nothing sticks past the frame, so the carpet should fit fine. And it's going up and over there. Let's see here. Got a bunch of shit in the way, still kind of. Back here, and then I was gonna bring this harness in the back trunk and then cross it over, but I decided just to follow the factory harness under there. It's going over the top. It goes towards the back over there, as I already showed. That's basically it. So I'm going to be putting the carpet in next. Yeah, I was going to show the gauges. Let's kind of check out the gauges real quick. Alright, so the gauges. So I just went with the Autometer boost gauge. So this is a water temp and oil pressure gauge, which is kind of cool. I didn't know they had the split gauges, but I found that. Glow shift. And then my AEM wideband. This is a amp bypass harness for my aftermarket stereo. I'm going to be doing like a touchscreen down here. I wanted to move the touchscreen up to here, but that's going to take some more time, so I'm going to do that later on. But for now, I'm just going to put my touchscreen radio down here, and then the HVAC control up here still. See, I got the shifter's going to have to be trimmed down, which I'll have to do that, but I need to get the dash in first. That's the R154 stock shifter, so it's pretty tall. I got my fuel pump wire there, so this is my remote. So when the relay is activated for my security switch, this will just function as a normal switch. So basically we got, you know, fuel on right there. They're pretty loud, but we got nice flow. We got pressure in front. Solid 50 psi right there. That's basically it for the front. Everything, so obviously right now I'm gonna have to pull out the traction control light just because I don't obviously no longer have traction control. Everything else works. What I know, the fuel gauge works, so that's nice. Yeah, here's my reverse camera line. So now we'll go jump to the front and kind of look at the wire tucking I did for the headlight harnesses and all that good stuff up there. Alright, so moving up front, I got my harness all nice and tucked. This will be secured up to the front like this. I got to drill holes and mount it still, but you get the idea. We'll be up in here inside the fender. I got all my, you know, headlight connectors. Gotta put the headlights in still, but I wanted to leave everything out in case I gotta change any of the intercooler piping or add anything. Let's see. This is just for like fog lights, and that was just this one, just a running light. But with that, Oh, down up there. Here is the ABS harness here and connector, the ABS pump. Let's see, I got everything hooked up here. The igniter is now moved over here. I don't think I showed that in the last video. I have my boost controller, electronic boost controller here, and I got my wideband. So this little platform, if you can't really see it, but it's like it's a little platform deal that I built, and all the engine harness connectors are underneath here. They're all watertight and all that. And then, so if I have to, I can completely disconnect the engine in one harness. I don't have to, like, you know, remove anything in the actual car. I can just disconnect that if I ever need to, which, you know, I built the engine harness to basically just be for the engine. It's like I was saying, I could always, if I ever wanted to put this set up in a different car or whatever, I just disconnect it and rewire the car side. So here we go. Here, this is all done. Like I was saying, I still got to drill the holes in the frame to hold it, but that's all good here. So my connectors. So that's basically it for the wiring. Really how I did this was I took out, you know, I had the whole harness out of the car and I laid it on the ground and I labeled what went where just by tracing it by hand, and also by the colors. So this is, so we'll kind of just look at, got a bunch of, this is engine harness, so this is irrelevant. Let's see if I can find, let me find all the wires that I connected. All right, so I found the page. So basically this side, these are all the factory wires that I basically, what's the word I'm trying to, these are all the factory wires that were in the existing harness from the factory on this side, and this is what I converted it to. So this just applies to me. But, you know, I went ahead and I labeled everything. So like right here we have front left headlight wires that are coming from the ECU, and then they go to the front headlight. So just stuff like that labeled, you know, like extension harness. So I traced all these wires when I had it out, and then you know, ran my new wires, had everything mapped out before I even attempted to do anything. I will say this project has consisted mainly of wiring. Because, oh man, I don't even know how many wires I have ran and connected and rerouted, but it took me hours. It took me a long time to do it, but I feel like it's worth it, because this is essentially the completed product, and you really don't see, you know, it's wire tucked for sure. So I think it was worth it. Like I was saying, I spent many hours doing all this just to get the relay boxes to the back. Oh yeah, we got power there. And when I say many hours, I work a full-time job. I have a wife, I have a kid, and so I have, you know, after our daughter goes to bed, I spend, you know, maybe 3 or 4 hours a night out here, as much as I can, and I've done that for the past month, just doing all of what you see. But it is nearly done. Getting really close on this car. So the let's see. So next, really what I have is I got to do brakes. I got to buy some coilovers. Probably gonna go with tying coilovers. I got to mount the rear differential, which I have an LSD that I have to mount in the car right now, because it this diff that's in there here right now is just an open diff, because it used to be an automatic car. It's no longer an automatic car. So I'm gonna put the carpet back in, put the seats back in. These seats are in shit condition, but for now they're fine. I'll probably just throw some seat covers on them. Eventually I will put actual race seats in there. I'll do a harness bar, you know, all that good stuff. But for now, it's gonna have the torn up seats. That's fine. Yeah, so that's basically it for the wiring. Everything is working. So next, all right guys, so in the next video I'm going to be starting this thing up. I've already kind of messed with the tune a bit, and I only have a few more things to do to start it, but it is getting really close to running. So I'll probably, that'll for sure be the next video. But thanks for watching, and until next time, see you later.